Hey, greetings and salutations. Back from vacation. Had a great time. Thanks for asking. Wasn't much of a vacation for me. Of course, our summer vacations are more for the kids and the grandparents than. Let's just say it's really not much of a stress relief for me to go on these vacations because it's 5,000 miles of driving here and there, and dealing with kids, and are we there yet? They're at that age, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. Had a good time in it nonetheless. It was good to see some people back in Michigan, but at the same time, just a couple days before we were to leave, my dad called me to inform me that my mother's sister, her 93-year-old sister, had passed away. So it was also sad. So we got back here, and now the kids are in school, so we've been dealing with all that, and I need to get back on the Jeep. Now, where we left off on the Jeep, I overhauled the engine, I replaced the piston and the bearings and a timing set. So let's look at what I'm into this repair for, and only time will tell how long this repair is going to last, but it sounds good. The engine sounds better than it ever has, so I would suspect that if I take care of it and I don't abuse it, it probably lasts as long as I continue to own it. So let's talk about some of the parts that I replaced. The timing set, really worn out, and then inside the timing cover, and you saw the pictures of the timing cover, the telltale sign that engine came out of a junk vehicle in the last video. But when I took that timing cover off, this little, I would imagine this would be considered a tensioner. This is supposed to be a piece of rubber that sits inside, and it's supposed to have a couple of ears on either side, and this thing is more like hard, brittle. It's not pliable and flexible anymore. So that was broken and was kind of flopping around in there, and there was a lot of slack in that chain, and that's indicative of a high mileage engine. I have no idea how many miles were on this engine, but I suspect it was probably somewhere around 100, 150 maybe. So let's look at the cost of this repair. So I got both an upper and lower gasket set. So I got the upper gasket set consists of everything that's associated with removing and replacing the head, essentially. And in this particular case, the kit that I bought also came with new head bolts. Now, you can reuse the old head bolts. What's recommended in all the manuals that is you can reuse these head bolts once. If you do decide to reuse the head bolts, take a paint pen and put a little dab of paint on the bolt, so that when the next person comes along to replace the head gasket and they crack open that engine and see the little dab of paint on all the head bolts, they know that those head bolts have been used once. I opted to buy a kit with new head bolts because it was only $20 extra, and $20 is cheap insurance. So that was the head replacement. I call it the upper end gasket set. I also bought a lower end gasket set that consisted of basically all the gaskets that you need if you take the bottom end apart. I bought that locally at the O'Reilly's. The upper gasket set I bought on Amazon. That was, I believe that was around 60 bucks. The lower end gasket kit was about 40 bucks. The timing set was, I believe, $35. The piston was $40. I got that from, where did I get that from? I bought that online through AutoZone. That was 40 bucks. The bearings were right around $40, $30 or $40. I got those off Amazon. What am I in this for? 250 bucks, 300 bucks? Less than 300 bucks. Not including things like oil, new oil filter. Antifreeze is expensive. It's $15 a gallon. Do yourself a favor. If you buy antifreeze, don't buy the pre-diluted stuff. It's a hell of a lot cheaper to buy a couple gallons of distilled water and the undiluted antifreeze. Don't waste your money on of the convenience of just pouring it out of the bottle. But do what you want, it's your money. I put everything back together. The engine runs fine. I went to go take it for a test drive. Transmission doesn't shift. It starts out in third gear. If you shift it manually, it'll shift just fine. Well, it doesn't shift just fine. It shifts, but it won't automatically shift. It won't go into overdrive. So that's a problem. And an intermittent problem that I've been having since I bought this vehicle, the gauge cluster works, and then it doesn't. And then it works, and then it doesn't. And this is a known problem with these. And the solution, there's actually a technical service bulletin regarding this. I don't know if there's a recall. There may have been, but this is a 20-year-old vehicle, and I'm not going to take this to Chrysler and waste their time and efforts. What happens is, if you look at the back here where the connectors are, this cluster plugs into the dash, and those connectors are a known failure point. So if you take the dash apart and you get to the cluster and take it out, one of the things you can do, and what I've done here, is I took a pair of needle nose and I've turned, I don't know if it's going to show up here, but I've turned those pins ever so slightly so that they make contact. What happens is that over time these connectors lose contact, and then the dash stops working. This vehicle ran just fine without the instrument cluster working. Everything worked fine. It shifted fine and everything. The only problem is that if you trip a code and the dashboard's not working, you don't know you tripped a code. And it's just aggravating. You don't know how fast you're going. You don't know if the tach's working. You're not racking up any miles. At least in my situation, the odometer would illuminate. It just wouldn't add any miles. In the 2 years I've owned this vehicle, the cluster has probably worked about half the time that I've owned it, which means half the miles that I put on this vehicle haven't been registered. And it was like that when I bought the car. So the odometer says 298,000 miles. I would imagine this vehicle has many more miles than that. I've got to track down this electrical issue with the no bus error that I'm getting. The error code that I'm getting is a P1698, and it's a no bus connection. Based on what I've gleaned off the internet, it sounds like it's a ground. I'm going to plug this thing back in and make sure that I get my dash back, and I'll take my scanner out and I'll try to clear the codes and see if that works. So let's go into that sweat box. It's already 100 degrees today, 11 o'clock in the morning. Oh yeah, that sun is hot. So the instrument cluster pushes into these connectors right here, which are mounted into the dashboard, and these are the connectors that Chrysler has covered in their technical service bulletin. So what Chrysler does, you bring it into the dealership and they'll take these and they'll cut them out and they'll put new ones in. But the issue is that these connectors open up a little bit, and so by turning the pin, and if you decide to do that, be careful because you can break those. Just turn the pin a little bit, and hopefully that creates a little more resistance and makes a better connection. So MIL status on, read codes, stored codes. And this does not, this particular scanner, this one doesn't have Jeep, so this would fall under Chrysler's umbrella. So under Chrysler from TCM PCM P1698. 1698. Cleared it, came right back. So, alright. I still haven't figured it out. Back in, turn the key off. But at least my gauge cluster works now. That works. So if I can't figure out this electrical issue this week, my friend Martin from the Martin Built channel, he's coming over this weekend, possibly to help me out and see if we can't figure this out. I do know that when I had the engine out and I was power washing the engine compartment, this was unplugged and it may have gotten water in it, and maybe that's what the problem is. I don't know, but it runs fine. I did check my ground there and then tested continuity there, and I replaced there's two grounds down there. You can't see it. You probably can't pick it up. There's so much crap in the way. But on the coil mount, there's a ground that's usually the culprit. I replaced both ends of that. There's one ground down in there where the dipstick bolts to the block. There's a ground there. So I'm going to pull those grounds loose again and get some. Do I have any brake clean here? Yeah, I think I got some. Ooh, there's some in there. Some brake clean. Spray that shit down. Make sure there's a good ground connection there, because sometimes it can be just as simple as just a poor ground, or a ground that's not making really good contact. That can kind of dick up the works. If it's not those things, then it's a little more in depth, and I might eventually take this down to the shop and have somebody that actually knows what the hell they're doing dick with it. I don't want to do that because I don't want to stick that kind of money into this thing, but I may have to. And all this bull is taken away from getting this thing, because this one runs. I might end up oh god, I might end up stripping the freaking front end off that one again and getting this one on the road because I need a vehicle. Stay tuned, fellas. The drama continues. Just a friendly reminder, down in the description there's some Amazon affiliate links. Go ahead and check those links out if you're interested in some of the parts that have featured in this video series, or some of the gear that I use to make these videos. That's one way that you can support this channel financially, is by going either to one of those links and purchasing one of those products, or going through one of those links and purchasing products that you might be interested in. It doesn't cost you anything extra. The channel just gets a little bit of a kickback. And if you can't afford to do that, then we're probably cousins. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video. It means a lot to me. Comment in the comment section if you're so inclined with any questions or comments. If you like this video, hammer away at the like button. If you didn't like the video, hammer away at the dislike button. Twice, 3 times if you want to. Whatever floats your boat. Share this video if you don't mind with your vast social media network. That'll help this channel gain a little more exposure. If you like what you see on this channel, go ahead and subscribe. It's a little red button underneath this window. Go ahead and subscribe. I'll wait. Did you subscribe? Awesome. Thank you. You're awesome. Now, if you don't mind, go ahead and click that little picture of a bell right next to the subscribe button so you'll be notified of future uploads. Because subscribing just ain't enough anymore. So, as always, guys, you have fun, stay safe, shoot straight, keep your powder dry, and have a splendid day. I'll just keep plugging away at this crap and see if I can get it figured out. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.